Well, I just stumbled across a comment that actually fell in my spam uh, box on YouTube, but it definitely was not spam. And I thought it was a very good question. As a matter of fact, it's one that's always on my mind when I'm opening a dealership or whatever. And basically, the question was, how much should an investor get as a return on a dealership? Well, now, first off, let me say this. When we opened up this dealership, I say we, Shane actually opened up the dealership, and the dealership is Shane's entirely. There are no investors, financial investors in the dealership itself. Now, our relationship, obviously because father and son, I helped out a little bit because I knew, it was going to be a little bit tough at getting started. And so Shane was going through a transition, and I invested maybe, I think, really a couple of $1,000 into helping him actually get the dealership open. But I didn't claim a return, no part of the ownership of that dealership or this dealership. And, that was a father and son arrangement, one that I was gladly helpful to do. So the first thing that I want to say to you, if you're opening up a dealership, the smart thing is not to take on investors in the dealership, the business part of it. Most of the time, if you find a very inexpensive locations that meets the code requirements, and you can get a dealership open for as little as $2,000 or $3,000 in some areas. It's going to be dependent on your credit, how much you have to own your bond, of course, your location and things of that nature. But it's not very expensive into opening up the dealership. Now, taking on investors in inventory is totally a separate item in the dealership. When Shane first started, and I was his major investor, and still am to a degree, but we have a 50-50 split on the inventory alone, okay? And that's extremely high for both of us. Shane does most of the buying, really now all of the buying, unless I fall into something. But we have a 50-50 split on inventory alone. But obviously it's because we're father and son team, and we both bring a lot to the table. I've got a lot of experience that I bring to the table, obviously, and I've got some website experience, some photography experience, and some things that just tie in to our situation normally. So I think that allow anybody to invest in the dealership is probably not a good idea. I haven't seen very many people make that work. Allowing people to invest into the inventory, it's just going to a case by case situation. Now, we don't take on investors. We never would take on investors in the dealership because it was so inexpensive to get the dealership started, the name of the dealership and the business entity itself. The inventory always is going to be the most expensive part, and sometimes you're going to need to take on an investor in that, and it's really going to depend on what role the investor is going to do. Like I said, in our particular situation, we both bring a lot to the table. Shane's young, he's not 40 yet. He loves going to auctions. He's always been a I mean, like I said, I'm blessed with wonderful children, but Shane has always been a chip off the old block. He's always in competition with his dad, and that makes for a good working relationship. Uh, Dad doesn't compete anymore. Dad's been to those auctions for 40 years, and Dad sold cars for 40 years, uh, it's kind of old hat to me. I still love it, but I think for me, I love more watching him grow, expand, and watching his confidence grow, watching his business grow. And so I still love to be an investor. And yes, I have a good return because I have a very active role in what he's posting. The way he posts it, I'm here at the lot all the time. I show a lot of cars. I'm here more than Shane is. And so Shane's all the time going to auctions or running to pick up parts for cars. He's a road warrior. He stays on the road continuously. He doesn't like to be at the dealership. As a matter of fact, he walked in this morning and said, "Are you sure you don't want to go to the auction with me?" And my response is, "Hey, I'd love to just get out of here and go to an auction, but we need to have some representation here at the lot. Even though everything is behind gates here, we don't display our vehicles out on road frontage. We have some good road frontage, but we don't display the vehicles out on the road because we don't encourage walk-in traffic. We don't really care about location. All of our cars are sold primarily on Craigslist. We post a few on Facebook. None of us are excited about Facebook posting. You get the conversion rate on those cars are just ridiculous. So we don't do that much. But keep in mind, in our situation, an investor is going to be, I would suggest, only on the inventory. Keep the dealership ownership rights to yourself. If you need to have an investor in some of the inventory, take it by an inventory case and what the investor brings to the table. I like to think I bring at least 50% effort to the table. So Shane we share a 50-50 equity in inventory alone. The dealership is his. He decides what he's going to do. As far as other wholesalers he takes on, and sometimes he's in a situation right now to where he's got more people that want to invest than he has the time. He caters to me and himself, and yes, his mother invests some with him as well, and she gets the same thing I do, but of course she's never around the dealership, and that's because she's his mother. But he takes care of his parents, and he loves to see us do well. And so that's really on that subject. That's what I'd say. Keep the dealership to yourself. Take on inventory investors and limit it to their inventory only. When their inventory is sold, their investment is paid, and they have no say-so in any other inventory other than what they have on your lot at that time. I hope that answers your question. If you find it does, please subscribe and share this channel with someone else that may have had interest in it. Thank you.